All right. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening on our Top 96 Los Angeles pre-camp webinar coming up on June 8th and 9th at Whittier College. A quick agenda for the evening. You see here on your screen, we're going to do some quick introductions, and then the bulk of the evening is going to be dedicated to how to help you and your student athlete prepare for camp from a schedule and logistical standpoint, also how to approach the recruiting process before, during, and after camp. And then we're going to dedicate a large chunk of the evening as well to getting your questions answered in real time at the end of the evening during our live Q&A. First up, some quick introductions from who you'll be hearing from tonight.
Thanks, Max. Really appreciate that. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Spera. Help direct our Top 96 baseball camps with Max, my co-host here for the evening. Really looking forward to seeing everybody in Los Angeles at Whittier College. Quick background on myself, a camp alumni, Top 96 camp back in 2010. From there, I went on to play my collegiate baseball at Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania. Had a really great collegiate experience there and was lucky enough to be a team captain for a couple of years for the Leopards, and have been working with the Top 96 baseball camps since my graduation.
Awesome, thank you, Corey. And then I am Max McKenna. I graduated from Amherst College in 2011, where I also pursued my baseball career as well as obviously the academics there. Also, similar to Corey, a Top 96 alum myself. For me, it was back in the summer of 2006 at a high academic camp at University of Hartford that really helped me on my journey to Amherst College in the next admission cycle. After my playing career in the NESCAC at Amherst College, went into teaching and coaching, first at Phillips Andover Academy, just north of Boston, as a teaching fellow in history and an assistant football and baseball coach in a great program there. And then went on to be a history instructor and head baseball coach at a small private school outside New York City called the Masters School before rejoining this team that I had interned with a couple summers while I was in college to be here full time. Also have spent time over the last 5 years working with summer travel teams, recruitment advising to 18U and 16U teams who are looking to pursue their collegiate careers on the baseball field as well. And now, Corey, I'm going to turn it over to you for some preparing for camp schedule and logistics.
Awesome, Max. Thank you very much. Just a quick overview here of some of the topics that I'd like to cover. First, of course, the location of camp and some information about arrival. Some very important information I want to pass along about equipment, especially footwear at Whittier. Obviously, want to be respectful of their great facilities. And then just a brief overview of exactly what that programming is going to look like over the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and 9th. So day one, Saturday, June 8th, lucky enough to be hosting our camp at Mendez Stadium, beautiful Mendez Stadium at Whittier College. Really appreciate Coach Rizzo and his staff welcoming us in with open arms. It's going to be a tremendous venue for our event. So Saturday, June 8th, first day of camp, first of the 2 days, we are going to have our check-in station ready to go at 7 a.m. So first camper in line will check in at 7 a.m. We'll leave that check-in open for about 30 minutes, and then right at 7:30, we're going to get going with our camp programming. So want to turn to an overhead view very quickly here. For those of you who have not been to Whittier's athletic campus before, you'll see the address on the page prior, but when looking at this campus, where that red star is really where we want our families and campers to park. So right there behind one of the sidelines of the football field, you'll come up on Canyon Drive, bear to the left, obviously past the baseball field, and park up there. next to the football field. And from that parking lot, we will have Top 96 staff members out there to ensure that you know where to go next. But we'll sort of matriculate through the parking lot, actually onto the football field, which we'll be using for some of our programming throughout Saturday, which I'll expand upon later. Do most of our check-in process there, and then ultimately head down to the main bleachers of the baseball field. One thing that I would like to point out, and this is relative to the football field that I was just referring to, we're going to be using that as sort of our auxiliary field throughout the day. We're going to be doing some batting practice preparation. We're going to be doing some defensive preparation on that field. And maybe most importantly, what that field's going to be used for is it's going to be used for our athletic index testing. So we're going to be doing the broad jump, 60-yard dash, vertical jump, and other athletic tests on that football field. You cannot wear metal spikes on the football field. Metal spikes are absolutely permissible on the baseball field and encouraged. The baseball field is natural surface. But the football field is field turf. And of course, turf shoes, sneakers, molded cleats, football cleats, all of those are permissible on the football field. But we will not allow you to wear metal spikes to perform any activities on the football field. So yes, as you can anticipate, there will be some changing of shoes throughout the day, but we've got that time built into our schedule, and we appreciate all of the players helping us out there. All right, to get into a little bit of the programming over the course of the 2 days, Saturday morning, once we get everybody checked in, and I alluded to earlier, getting camp going right at 7:30, we're going to have a quick meeting that involves both parents, players, the rest of our Top 96 staff. Get some information and introductions out of the way, and then pretty quickly we're going to jump right into our camp programming. Parents, you'll have an opportunity to stay back in the stands and have a little bit of a question answer with Max. And the rest of us are going to be up on that auxiliary football field, and we're going to be doing our athletic index testing that I mentioned earlier. This is going to involve a laser-timed 60-yard dash, a laser-timed pro agility shuttle. That's the 5-10-5 shuttle for those of you who know it with that title. We're also going to be testing the broad jump and testing the vertical jump as well. Put together a really nice athletic index that will then be passed along to coaches once they arrive, both hard copy and electronic copy. You'll notice the other index testing that's listed down there, and that's our overhand throwing velocity. Overhand velo, that's going to be taken during our defensive showcase. So we're going to move right from that athletic index testing into our defensive showcase. So we'll finish up those athletic tests. We'll give the players an opportunity to get their arms loose and then prep at their position, their primary position that they want to defensively showcase at. Every player will have the opportunity to defensively showcase. They can defensively showcase at one position. They'll have the opportunity to do that on the baseball field in front of every college coach in attendance. And once they've completed their defensive showcase repetitions, they will then do the overhand throwing velocity test. From the defensive showcase, we're going to move into our pitcher's showcase. Again, this is in front of every college coach in attendance. A couple of things here with the pitcher's showcase. First of all, anyone who would like to pitch is allowed to participate in the pitcher's showcase. We obviously know that this does not pertain to everyone. We know that there are going to be pitcher onlys out there who are not going to participate in the defensive showcase or the offensive showcase, and only the pitcher's showcase, and that is fine. We also know that there will be outfielders and shortstops and other position players who might be primary pitchers, but also want to showcase defensively at that position, or vice versa, primarily an outfielder perhaps who also pitches some. They are welcome to participate in that pitcher showcase. That pitcher showcase will have 2 pitchers throwing at once in the same bullpen. Again, in front of every college coach in attendance, and also in front of our Rapsodo metrics capturing devices. We are going to touch on some of the details of Rapsodo later on, but for the pitcher showcase, the players will be throwing in front of the Rapsodo devices. And once that pitcher showcase is over, we'll be moving into the offensive showcase. Again, every single player who would like to participate in the offensive showcase is more than welcome to do so. They will hit on the field, live batting practice in front of every college coach with a Rapsodo hitting device. Then they'll immediately transition into the batting cages. In the batting cages, they'll undergo a little bit more Rapsodo hitting testing. Also, of course, those players who are not participating in the pitcher showcase, while that is going on, they will have the opportunity to prepare for the offensive showcase. And those who participate in the pitcher showcase, who do want to offensively showcase, they too will have ample time to prepare and get some repetitions before moving into the offensive showcase. That really does it for the morning, and then we're going to move into our afternoon programming. That's going to start with a little break for lunch, and during that lunch break, we're going to offer a recruiting panel question and answer. That's going to be hosted by Max, and it's also going to include some of our camp partners. Certainly informal. We encourage you to attend, but by no means is it mandatory to do so. But they will be going over a lot of helpful information, and of course be opening up the floor to any questions as well. Once we finish that panel and Q&A, we are going to then introduce all of the college coaches in attendance to parents, families, players, and right from that coach introductions, we're going to go into our positional practice. Each player is going to be able to choose which position they'd like to practice at: infield, outfield, pitcher, catcher, and they'll go to a part of the facility, whether that's on the main field or the auxiliary field, and work with a small subset, a group of the college coaches in attendance who specialize with working with that position. So if you're a catcher and would like to participate in the positional practice for the catchers, you're going to be working with college coaches who do exactly that for their college teams, help coach the catchers, which will be a really unique opportunity for our players in attendance. And speaking of unique opportunities, we're going to close the day one afternoon with our college coach meet and greet. And this is going to be split into 2 sections. The first section, we're going to have some small panels with college coaches hosted by our Top 96 staff. This is for players only. It's going to take place on the field, and players are going to rotate around in small groups to groups of college coaches to go over some questions just about playing college baseball and the recruiting process in general. And the second piece of that meet and greet is actually just going to be some time for the players and coaches to spend together on the field and have an opportunity for the players to individually connect with those coaches that they are interested in potentially playing for. And that'll wrap up day one. Day two, from a programmatic standpoint, is a little bit simpler, but certainly just as important. Each team is going to play in one game on day two. And though many of you are used to participating in a infield, outfield before your games, we're going to take that IO, if you will, and sort of juice it up a little bit. We'll be doing sort of a high-speed situational practice, a showcase type infield, outfield, where both teams will be participating. We'll have one team out in the field and the other team actually running the bases, and basically go through some situations so we can get some live action before the game, not only to warm the players up to game speed very quickly, but also just to act as another opportunity to show some different talents and baseball IQ in front of the college coaches in attendance. We'll move very quickly into our gameplay. Of course, with one field of action going on at a time, all of the coaches are going to be there watching, all eyes on that one field. Every pitcher is going to have the opportunity to throw live in this game, and of course the position players will have a chance to hit and play their primary and secondary defensive positions. We'll have a couple of game slots on that day too, but once you finish your game slot, that is the end of camp programming for you and your player.
Awesome, thank you, Corey. And now, from a kind of less tactical side, but I would argue equally as important in being prepared for camp, we're now going to talk about how to prepare student athletes for camp from the recruiting side of things, from the engagement and their approach while they are on site with us, but also before and after their showcase experience to make sure they're fully leveraging everything that they can in the recruiting experience. So a first key point here that we think about when we talk to student athletes is coach communication. And as you see here on your screen, this is separated into a pretty simple three-phase process that we look at for student athletes. There's before camp, there's at camp, and then there's after camp. Before camp, so between now and Saturday, June 8th, now is the time when you can look through the list of schools that are coming to camp. You can do your research about what these schools are, what they offer academically, what they offer geographically, and take a look and think about how they fit your process so that you can think about the schools that are coming to camp that you are highly interested in. Then you take that consolidated list and you're able to reach out to 5-10 of these college programs by email to say, hey coach, I'm really excited to see Caltech at Top 96 next weekend. I love your, I was following the Mars landing on TV and I'm really excited to major in aerospace engineering. That wasn't me, but God bless you. And have something unique in that email, which we can talk about certainly later as well. But setting that groundwork before camp really sets the stage for what you are looking at doing while you are on site at Top 96, which is to engage. The key point here is to be proactive and to have conversations face-to-face with college coaches. This is an incredible opportunity to be face-to-face with coaches, get instruction directly from some of these top coaches in Southern California, get to know them and get to know their program, not only to gain instruction, but also obviously to advance your recruiting process and get yourself recruited to the programs that you have on your list. A key point here, and one question that we get a lot from families and from student athletes, is student athletes that are a little bit more shy. Kids are 15, 16, 17 years old, going up to approach a college coach at Cal State Fullerton or at another one of their dream schools can be pretty intimidating. And this is where, as Corey was talking about, pieces of that camp programming really come into play to provide a very organic setting for these types of interactions, as well as the support that our Top 96 quote unquote blue shirt team can provide while we're on site as well. It's not that you're going to have to chase down a coach across the complex to get them to talk to you or force this conversation, because you're going to be sharing the field with them during the practice. You're going to be meeting with them in small groups or one-on-one during that meet and greet to round out day one. You're going to be on the field with them during your situational high-speed practice and your game. So there's a lot of opportunities to begin these conversations very naturally and organically, and this is something that I always harp upon at our camps, is really taking advantage of the unique experience during these 2 days to have these in-person conversations and to interface directly with these college coaches to help move your process forward and also to help learn more about the schools that you're targeting. But neither of these fall in a vacuum, and all the groundwork that you did before camp, doing your school list research, reaching out to college coaches that you're interested in, and then talking to them at camp, going up and having a really thoughtful conversation with them about how they teach double cuts from the right field corner during the situational practice or whatever it may be. All of this falls flat if you aren't able to follow up with them after camp. I think that a key mistake that we sometimes see from student athletes and from families is that they look at a showcase experience as a discrete 2-day experience, 1 or 2 day experience, whatever the case may be, in their recruiting journey, as opposed to thinking about it as a step connecting them from where they've been to where they are headed, and being able to buttress this at-camp experience with the before and after resources, the follow-up, the level of proactive communication to the college programs that you're interested in. That is what is going to help this 2-day experience really pay dividends well after you have walked out of Hugh B. Mendez Stadium at Whittier College and continue to make strides in your recruiting. So follow up, develop an action plan. If you have a great conversation with a coach while you're at camp, follow up and send them an email, send them a handwritten note, give their program a follow on social media and start to, comment on their Instagram story or whatever the case may be, so that you can stay top of mind for these coaches and really continue this line of communication that you have with them from these 2 unique days that you had sharing the field with them. And next here, I mentioned kind of doing your research and building out your school list. What you see on your screen here is the list of schools and the list of college programs that are going to be joining us at Whittier College on June 8th and 9th. You notice here an incredible array of schools, Division I, Division III, incredible range of academics and of baseball experiences. And all of these are organized around being in Southern California, right? Being a regional college experience, so that student athletes who are targeting Southern California or the LA area in their recruiting process can really help gain efficiency in their recruiting and make strides at these 21 schools in a single 2-day event, with that proactive follow-up before camp and that follow-up after camp as well. And so we're really proud and really honored to be working and privileged to be working with these college coaches, because we believe that the variety of experience on campus, academically, athletically, that these schools offer is just an incredible array, and really can help deliver a lot of results and some really positive and really unique experiences to student athletes who are pursuing their recruiting process. Next up, we're going to touch on, as Corey mentioned, some of the data and analytics pieces and dig a little bit deeper on this. So first, I think that we want to touch a bit on what is the role of data and analytics in college recruiting, and then we're going to talk specifically about our favorite at-camp tool, which is Rapsodo, which some of you I'm sure have heard of. We're going to kind of dig in and see how coaches use this data and how we'll be using it at camp as well. So a key question that we get from families is, there's all this data and analytics and metrics out there. How do college coaches actually use this data in their recruiting? And you see there four buckets that, to me, a lot of their use fall into. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but the first one there that you see is benchmarking against current players. So many of these programs are investing in Rapsodo or very similar types of technology platforms so that they are able to collect exactly this type of data and analytics on their own current players. So as a showcase camp experience, when they look at Corey Spira's Rapsodo pitching data and they see spin rate and effective spin rate and spin efficiency and release angle and release height and all these things that can seem like hieroglyphics to a parent or to a student athlete, they are oftentimes not only familiar with these, but they have some sort of level set that they can look at with the players that are currently in and contributing to their program, so that they can say, oh, that high school junior, that class of 2021 Corey Spira, his metrics put him in line with John Smith, who's a current starter on my pitching staff, and kind of start to get a sense of where these recruits might fall and project out into their program. The second piece here, and this kind of relates very closely, is gauging the projectability. Personally, I was 5'4" and weighed $130 soaking wet coming out as a junior in high school, and so I did not pass the eye test. But there's so much more to being projectable for high schoolers on the baseball field than just passing the eye test, and this data can help give some really good insight to college coaches into what will play at the next level. Not just saying, okay, here's where you are throwing X hard and you look Y good off the mound, but how does the data back up not just where you are now and how you can be effective, but where you are headed in your physical development with things like the athletic index in conjunction with this Rapsodo data and analytics, and how does that play at my college? How does that project out to the next level? I think that one thing is that college coaches are, yes, they're looking at you as a student athlete right now, but they are looking at you as a student athlete right now because they want to try to figure out who you are as a student athlete in 3, 4, 5 years once you are on their campus and in their program. This gives them even more in-depth analysis and tools to be able to put confidence in the assessments that they make and not just say, oh, he, throws hard-ish, but looks harder because he works up in the zone. What is the spin rate that translates to, and how does that translate to success at their level of college play too? And then you see there as well that idea of in-depth assessment. Coaches are great recruiters. They are great evaluators of high school talent, but a lot of these coaches really do benefit as well from having a depth of analysis and a depth of data to be able to go back to, whether it's video or data or this athletic index that we'll do at camp, everything that can help really give credence to what they see with their own naked eye when they are recruiting players. And then another big piece of how college coaches use this type of data within their own programs, and another thing that student athletes can take away from Top 96 and from their use of these platforms, is player development. Trevor Bauer and Driveline and Rapsodo are working together to show and give some insight into some really cool stuff that he is doing specifically for pitch development. Now, we're not all Trevor Bauer, but the depth of analysis and the depth of insight that you can get from some of these tools isn't just to help you get recruited, it's also to help you continue your development on the field. Having an idea of what your spin rate is can help make you a more effective pitcher. Having an idea of what your launch angle is as a hitter can help determine what sort of hitter you want to be in a game so that you can be more impactful to your team and you can really define and then improve the game that you play on the baseball field. So now we're going to specifically talk about kind of Rapsodo and what it is and what it looks like, and also a small action item for families as well. So Rapsodo is essentially a super advanced radar that gives in-depth data and analytics for your pitching and hitting metrics, and we will use that at camp to deliver these to the college recruiters so that they can really gain an in-depth assessment of your quote-unquote tools, right? Your power, your throwing velocity, all these different things that they're looking for. Rapsodo pitching, you see there at the bottom of the screen a screenshot, a mock-up of what this looks like in terms of what, when you are interfacing with the technology, what it looks like and what it delivers. It delivers things like, of course, velocity, but also spin rate, spin access, spin efficiency. It models every pitch, as you can kind of see there in the bottom right-hand corner of that screenshot, to show not just how did this one pitch look and what did it do, but how did this one curveball look against your other curveball? Which one had more break? Did you release them from the same place? Because it also captures things like release height, release angle, and release extension to really give some super in-depth looks at pitch versus pitch and also how to continue to develop your pitching. On the hitting side, very similar, delivers a lot of incredible in-depth data. You see there a little bit different interface, some of the kind of same layouts, but it delivers things like, yes, of course, exit velocity, how hard is the ball coming off your bat, but also the spin access. It gives a 3D flight modeling, as you see there. Where would this ball have traveled? Where's it going? And also launch angle and launch direction. And all of these things can really combine to give you as a student athlete or you as a parent, and also college coaches and travel coaches, high school coaches, an idea into how successful is this player going to be from an on-base or slugging percentage kind of perspective on the whole, and kind of put some data and metrics behind some of those projections that they may have. Now, the one small action item that we have is you should have gotten a pre-camp email over the last couple weeks that mentioned activating and confirming your Rapsodo accounts. As Corey mentioned, everybody at camp has the opportunity to showcase for both. And so what we are doing for all student athletes who will be there is we are creating separate accounts for Rapsodo hitting and for Rapsodo pitching for every student athlete that is going to be there. Now, one thing is that these accounts have to be under different emails. So If you received an email saying, please provide another email, please let us know, and we will create that second account under that additional email address so that you're able to have not just access to your hitting, but also your pitching if you decide to showcase there. The other action item is after we sent that email to you, that pre-camp email, we went in and uploaded all of your accounts under these different email addresses to Rapsodo, which should have triggered an automatic email to that email address. And so you should be able to go in, and it's as simple as opening that email, clicking on it to confirm your account, and that will make sure that you are all set to go once we arrive on campus, because we need to not only have all of these accounts created in Rapsodo, but also have them all confirmed before we're able to effectively collect the data from that day one during those offensive and pitcher showcase portions.
Absolutely, Max. And I think just important to reiterate there, we are not able to collect the data until those accounts are confirmed. So certainly no worries there, still have plenty of time. In fact, even if you've received the emails, we will be resending them to you tomorrow if you have not confirmed. But please open those up to both email addresses you have for your player. It should be going to the player email address as well as the primary parent guardian email address. And as Max said, just clicking confirm and both of those emails will do the trick. You'll receive an automated email afterwards to go ahead and set up your account. You do not need to set up that account in order to get the metrics at camp. That account can be set up at a later date once even once camp is over. We really do appreciate you all helping us out here and cooperating with those emails.
And one additional thing here, because I just to kind of be completely and candidly open about this, we are creating these accounts for you. This is eventually would be a paid account through Rapsodo, but it is certainly not for you guys who are attending the camp initially. What you're going to walk away with from camp is we're going to give you access to your Rapsodo data for a limited time, for probably 30 to 60 days, where you'll be able to access that data for free, download it for free, do kind of whatever you need to do with it before there's any sort of thing that would trigger an account extension through that Rapsodo cloud. And next up, we want to take the rest of the time that we have and as much time as we need to answer any questions. So just a quick reminder to ask that question. If you find the questions tab in your GoToWebinar toolbar, type it right in there, hit send. We're going to be collecting them here and phrasing them out to either Corey or myself. If there's anything that comes up after this is certainly not your only or single opportunity to get your questions answered. If you still have questions, feel free to email us, give us a call, reach out on our website. We have a live chat feature on our website. So if anything comes up as you're learning more about the coach list or reading more about the showcase details, ping us there and we're happy to answer any questions that come up. Now to dive into the Q&A. And Coach Corey, we kind of saw this question coming. What are the time frames for day one and then for day two? You mentioned 2 different game slots. When do I know kind of which game slot? What's the arrival time for day two, et cetera? Looking at the clock, what am I looking at?
A great question, important question, Max. As I mentioned, 7 a.m. Saturday, June 8th, day one of camp is when we are going to start the player check-in process. Camp will get going at 7:30. We expect camp to finish up right at or right within the early part of the 3 p.m. hour. So 3 p.m., give or take. Of course, we can't totally script this out. We don't know exactly how many pitchers will be participating in the pitcher showcase. But right around 3 p.m., we'll be able to wrap up day one. For day two, in terms of arrival time, as I mentioned, and Max, you alluded to, we're going to have several different game slots. So your arrival time is dependent on which team you are going to be placed on. We are going to place each player on a team once check-in has completed at camp. So once we know every player that is confirmed and in attendance, we are going to create teams based off of positional capacities and make sure that we have even teams with even, and not so much in terms of talent, of course, but in terms of positions, that each team has 2 shortstops and one team doesn't have 6 shortstops versus 1 shortstop for another team, because that certainly would not be fair or equitable for playing time purposes. So that day 2 arrival time is dependent on which team you get placed on. That team assignment will be communicated to you before you leave on day 1. So we will communicate that to parents and families while you are still on site on day 1 before camp finishes up in that 3 p.m. hour.
Absolutely. And one additional piece that we'll put in some pre-camp communication, and also certainly mention the morning of day 1, is our on-site website. And that's where we will handle a lot of camp communications, such as posting teams and posting any updates about schedule or timing or the specific game schedule for Sunday as well. So we'll pass along that URL. You'll be all set to go, and you can always certainly check in there. Or, and hopefully this has come across this webinar, a lot of friendly faces wearing blue shirts will be on site at Whittier too. And so we can kind of make sure that every question you have is addressed fully, whether it's in person or through the mobile site. Next question, Corey, I'm going to put this one right back to you because I know that it's one that you and I think about very deeply.
I like it.
Whittier College has a great dining hall, I'm sure, but what is the food and water situation during this? These are, that's a full day on a baseball field. Food and water wise, what's right there? What's nearby? What are players doing to kind of charge up and make sure that they're fueled?
Absolutely. I was not able to pull off access to the dining hall, Max. I apologize mostly to you and I. We would enjoy that experience. For players and families, important to note here, there will not be a concession stand that is open at camp. No concession stand, so there will be no food or drink available for purchase on site at Mendez Stadium or by the football field, anywhere on that athletic complex. A couple important notes here though. Water provided by us throughout the day. Ample water. We hope players are drinking. We know it's going to be hot. Also, any coolers, any drinks that players want to bring in, they are welcome and encouraged to do so. Certainly no restrictions there. Water, Gatorade, whatever they need, they are more than welcome to bring it in, but we will be supplying that water via coolers throughout the complex. As for food, as you can imagine, there are plenty of places to eat around the college campus. What we're going to do is we're going to provide a program to you when you check in at camp. And as part of that program, there's going to be some local information that's included. It's going to include some local grocery stores, pharmacies, as well as local eateries that are within just a mile or 2 from the baseball field that parents, you are very easily going to be able to go to and grab some food if need be, or certainly if a player is traveling alone and does not want to pack some food for themselves, they'll also have time to be able to go out, grab something to eat, get back on campus within sort of that 30 to 40 minute time span, and not miss any on-field camp programming.
Absolutely, and I think that as Corey mentioned, there is kind of this dedicated content-driven lunch break, and so having something, certainly snacking throughout the morning as players need to fuel up, but also having that dedicated time and having something ready then, I think, is a really good way to set them up for success throughout the day on day 1. Next question, we kind of talked about how it's really important to proactively engage and talk to college coaches at camp. When is the right time to do that? When are the opportunities in the camp schedule that you, Corey, would go up to talk to, Caltech or Occidental or Cal State Fullerton and say, "Hi, my name's Corey Spear. I'm in love with your program"?
Absolutely, and the morning, as I was going through those programming details, the morning is packed full with some really exciting opportunities to showcase in front of the college coaches who will be in attendance. However, it's probably not the best time to try to interact with the college coaches. When you finish showcasing at shortstop during the defensive showcase and the college coaches are sitting in chairs up and down the first and third base line, you should not run over there and start shaking hands. That is not the time to do it. We have times built into this schedule for ample opportunities for interaction. That first great opportunity is going to come during that position specific practice. As I mentioned, this is led by the college coaches. Us, the top 96 staff, will be there for support, but this is driven by the college coaches. And what a tremendous opportunity, not only to learn from, but also connect with those coaches who are leading your practice. And right from that position-specific practice, we're going to move into that college coach meet and greet, which of course it's in the name. There's going to be quite a few opportunities to interact and hear directly from the college coaches. On day two, though, another important point here. During the games, we will have some college coaches assigned to each dugout and on the field. The rest of them will be watching from behind a screen that we'll put behind home plate on the field. So about half will be watching from there, and the other half will be scattered between the two dugouts and out actually on the field, interacting with you while you play in your game. Again, another unique opportunity to connect with the coaches, and they're going to be coaching you up as well. Another awesome opportunity to learn straight from these really impressive baseball guys. And then after the game, what we like to do is bring all the players and the coaches who were on the field for that game, meet up at home plate real quick, sort of have a little debrief, what the coaches saw, not only during that game, but over the course of the 2 days, give some really nice takeaway points to sort of help you with your recruiting process move forward. And at that point as well, there will be opportunities after that home plate meeting breaks to connect and speak with the college coaches again. So long answer, short version of that answer, plenty of opportunities on both day one and day two to interact with the coaches.
Certainly. And then one question that I'm gonna take myself that I think stands out, because it's another one that we get a lot from student athletes and from parents, is in this type of setting, how do I stand out to a college coach? What can I do to make sure that I'm on their radar? And some of this comes down to some of the coach communication stuff that I mentioned earlier, sending them an email before camp, reaching out to them beforehand and letting them know that you're interested in their school is a good way to put yourself on their radar. Once you hit the ground at camp, what I like to tell student athletes is all the hard work that it's going to take to stand out to coaches has already been done, right? That's been in the 13, 14, 15 years you've been playing baseball. That's the hard work that you've already done to be ready to shine in this setting. Now it's time to sit back, lean into that hard work, and really have fun and take advantage of this opportunity. Now, that being said, to stand out to college coaches, I think that one of the key things that I point to is attitude and controlling the controllables. Coaches love to circle names and find opportunities for kids who are an energy giver to their program, who are busting their tail down the first baseline. They are picking up their teammates, they're hustling, and they are just really getting after it and also having fun. I think that in sometimes this tension-filled process, it can be tough to remember that we all played this game. These coaches are involved in this game because it's fun. It's a game. It's a fun thing to do. Let that show through your play, and I think that's another really good way to get your name circled by these college coaches. Now, obviously, as well, they are looking for kids with great on-field tools to fill out their programs, kids with the right academics, kids with the right personality, cultural character fit who are going to fit into their program. So another way to stand out is to have a tool or have something in your game that makes you unique. Not everybody's going to show up and throw 94 miles an hour on their fastball, but you might have a really good changeup. Or as a hitter, you might not be the kid who's going to hit 4 bombs in a game, but you're going to hit hard line drives all over the field, and you're going to get on base, and you're going to turn everything into a double. So lean back into what makes your game unique, and think about the tools that you have, or a specific tool that you have that makes you stand out as a player, and really leverage that when you're at camp. If you're a fast kid, steal bases. If you're a fast contact hitter, don't all of a sudden show up at camp and think that you're going to go 3 for 5 with 3 grand slams and hit the ball 500 feet. Maybe, and that's great, but that's probably not what's going to set you up for success. So leaning back into that hard work and really focusing on the tools that got you to where you are now is a really good way to help yourself stand out to coaches, in addition to that communication, which conveys your confidence and your maturity and your character, and the hustle, energy, effort that you're able to give on the field too. That wraps up the questions that we have. Again, certainly not the only time that you have to get your questions answered, even before camp. If anything comes up between now and June 8th, shoot us an email, give us a call, reach out to us however you see fit, and we're happy to make sure that you have everything you need before we hit the ground in Whittier. And on behalf of the Top 96 team, I'll say that we are very excited to hit the ground with you out in Los Angeles, and we're really looking forward to getting after it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time this evening.